Hello, hello, hello. Today is July 28, 2021. And this is recording 238. 238. It's entitled, Our Present Help. Our Present Help. And for those of us who have spent any time in church or any time reading the Bible or parts of the Bible or listening to preachers, it is always told to us that God is always a present help in a time of trouble. Usually we think of it as a present help in a time of trouble because, unfortunately, it appears that this environment that we dwell in is always presenting some form of trouble, always presenting something that is trying to persuade us that we have no hope. I think it was Jesus told Peter one time that sin lies at your doorstep waiting to sift you. And another place he says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. So if one thing that we've come to understand, that it may appear that some people have it made, but unfortunately we know that no one has it made in the realm called the earth. There are those who are able to acquire wealth. There are those who are able to acquire security or friendship or make alliances with people, and it appears that they have it made. But in essence, in the truth of this realm that we dwell in, we find no one has it made. Now we go back to the statement where Jesus said, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. And it would appear that things come to us, the issues come to us, but those of us who are taking what we call the deep dive into spirituality, we should come to the realization that issues are created by us. It's how we respond to the issue or to the situation that comes to us, and that is what creates the issue. So if you guard your heart with all diligence, the word diligence needs to be explored as to, wait a minute, how can I be diligent in guarding my heart when trouble seems to always be coming around me? Well, your mind, you have to have the right mindset. And one thing I'm finding out is that which I give to you is a mindset that is coming to me, but I cannot come to you and tell you that you're of the wrong mindset, because you'll have to find this present help. You'll have to find it for yourself. As I was preparing this message, the first line that came to me was, our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. Our help is there, which now tells us that we must find some way to get in touch with the Lord. But it tells us we only need to know the name of the Lord. But to know the name of the Lord, something has to be revealed to us that lets us know that there is an essence within that name that we can depend on. And while preparing the message, in the book of Jeremiah, I came across a story, and a few scriptures that came to me were Jeremiah 24, scriptures 2 through 7. Now, I'm not going to go through every one of the scriptures, but the essence of the scriptures was that the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah to tell the people that you're going to be taken into captivity. Go. Do not fight. Go into captivity and worship me in captivity, and I will take care of you. If you fight the captivity, you will probably be overtaken because you have disobeyed. See what I'm saying? You have disobeyed what I asked you to do. Not so much that you are being overcome because the captivity is much stronger, but I have told you I will care for you. Now, we look at ourselves in this earthly realm, we realize that maybe everything doesn't go exactly the way that we would like for it to go. So we're in a captivity, but we are worshiping God within that captivity, and he's saying, I will take care of you and take care of you, but your satisfaction will come when you decide to return to me. He didn't say you would leave that land and come back to me. He says when your heart decides to turn and come back to me, then I will release you from the captivity, which tells me that there is a revelation that is going to come. And I am the only one that can perceive that revelation individually. But individually, every one of us will perceive that revelation, and it may not come exactly the same one to each and every one of us, but it will let us know that God has heard and we are being released. But the criteria or the ultimate, the most important point was when you return to me with your whole heart. With your whole heart. When you turn and decide, I must know God, and I must know God for myself. I must know God well enough that when I'm out here in the streets, no matter where I am, whether I'm in the Walmart, whether I'm in the bank, whether I'm driving down the highway, I will have no fear because I now am guarding my heart with all diligence. And the only issue that can come out of my heart is a good issue. I have found the love of my life, and no one takes that from me. I have found my help to be in the name of the Lord. I've taken that name and made it personal to me. I have found my help there because now I come to the realization that heaven and earth were both made by the Lord. I must find the Lord. I'm going to read to you right now a few, it's a little bit of conversation or writing, but I think you'll get the essence. It is only those who are ready to give up all their concepts of God, to stop dreaming, thinking, and outlining, who in that complete surrender can let God reveal itself. Wow. Can let God reveal itself. What must we give up? Well, we must give up the thoughts that others have given us about God. We must give up the concepts that others have given us. We must give up the experiments that we have tried to get to God. We must give up all of the things that we may try to determine is God so that we may find him to be our present help. But where does that leave us? That leaves us in a place where we have to be patient and we have to accept who God is, where God is, how God is. We must come to the place that we know the essence of something, the essence of that which we call God. We must not only be cognizant of it, but we must become intimate with it and its processes. How long that's going to take is determined about the intimacy that we have in this. How long that's going to take comes with working out our soul salvation with patience, and understanding and waiting and believing that God, which is said to be our present help, will reveal himself. I go on with the reading as this being a type of prayer. God, I know not what you are or even how to pray to you. I know not how to go in or how to come out. I know not what to pray for. I cannot believe in the God that the world has accepted, for I have seen the fruitlessness and frustration which follow such blind faith. I must find the God who no man knoweth, the God that is, the one true God that created this universe in his own image and likeness, perfect, harmonious, and whole, and who maintains and sustains it in its infinite and eternal perfection. In such a God I can believe. Now look at the characteristics and criteria we have described this God. We know how perfect, we know how loving, we know how fulfilling of his promises. We know this intellectually, but something in us tells us we must find this God. We must put forth the effort to be patient. So we ask God, reveal yourself, Father. Show me your will. Not my will, show me your will. Never again will I dishonor you by trying to tell you what I need and then attempt to coerce you into delivering it. Never will I expect you to do my will or my bidding, to be my messenger boy. I place my life, my hand, my being, and my body in your keeping. Do with them what you will, Father. Take my sins, my fears, and my diseases. Take my health and my wealth. Take it all. I ask only one gift, the gift of you, yourself. Think about just how vulnerable you just made yourself, telling God, this is what I want. I want you and nothing else. What does it take to come to that type of desire? When the realization dawns in consciousness that this experience that we're living in right now is rooted in a spiritual foundation, we then realize that consciousness is the seat. Consciousness is the foundation by which all things are governed. And how close then am I to consciousness? That's right. Consciousness is what I am. There is nothing that happens in my life except it come through my conscience. So therefore, conscience is the seat of all things. All things are formed through consciousness. Now, if I go back to a previous statement, guard your heart with all diligence. Let's substitute the word conscious for heart. Guard your conscience with all diligence, because how your conscience reacts to whatever the suggestion is, the issue is automatically formed. Where is the forming? The forming is in your conscience. So now I can see then that if there is a grand consciousness that formed the universe, if that be the case, then that grand consciousness formed all things, knowing that it governed all things, and there could not be an issue coming to it that would change its mind from what it originally thought. I have that same consciousness. Now, my thing now is to disregard the suggestions that are coming to me denoting otherwise or suggesting otherwise. And then I must, with patience, be still and understand then. I hope you get this the way I got this morning, or in time you get it, or that you desire to get it. But all things flow from your conscience. That's why we're told to disregard the things that are happening in the earth, because you are actually seeing the end result of the billions of people who walk the planet. You are seeing the outpicturing of their issues. And if you are paying attention to their issues could very well become your issue. But if you guard your heart with the understanding that there is a perfect, eternal consciousness dwelling in you that is always aware of you, keeps you lifted high on its pinnacle of values, then now we understand in Corinthians when it says, capture every suggestion that would exalt itself above the knowledge of God. Bring it into captivity. We also, here's a statement where it says, Jesus led captivity captive. And those of you who were with me this past Sunday, it says that Jesus was the one who ascended and descended from heaven to earth, earth to heaven. But when he ascended, he took possession of heaven. He took possession of heaven. So heaven is something that can be possessed, and heaven is something that must be possessed individually. I place my life, my hand, my being, and my body in your keeping. But I don't know how to do that other than make myself vulnerable. I have received the realization that there is a divine consciousness, and everything has its seat or foundation in that consciousness. So then the next question comes to me is, then where did I come from? Now we're asking the correct questions. If everything is a product of a divine consciousness, then I am the product of that divine consciousness. And I realize now I have. If I had never come to the earth and been shaped in the earthly values, I would know myself as I am known. I would know then that I am the expressed image of the divine consciousness, and I have my own present help with me. But you say, but you were in heaven, so you wouldn't have any need of anything to help you there. That's correct. So what if I had come to the earth with that understanding and not been shaped in any other consciousness beneath that? I would be as Jesus Christ. I would know that I now have with me at all times a present help. Well, you say, well, wow, I wish I could have that. You do have that. Why? Because that present help came to remind you where you came from and to uphold you and keep you lifted up and tell you, I'm telling you the truth. Now guard yourself with all diligence, because I have now made you aware that that present help that you think you need, you have always had. And it, he referred to it as it will never leave you nor forsake you unless you deny it. If you deny it, how do I deny it? If I choose to believe that there is a power, there is a force, there is something other than what God is, there is that which is here, and I give it relevance, I give it power, then Jesus is saying you are denying me before the foul. If you are denying me before the earthly realm, then I will deny you before the Father. It's easy to understand this because you are saying that there is a power that can do something to you, and you are denying the present help that is always with you. These revelations must come to you as they come to you to separate you from the beliefs of this world. As I said a little earlier, everything is rooted and grounded in a spiritual foundation, and all things come from this foundation. But my heart must be completely given over to understanding, giving over to becoming the servant of, until that light goes on in me. The last part of the reading. We can come to this state of receptivity and respond to it only at the point of our readiness. Remember I said, as you bring your heart, your complete heart, saying, I'm forsaking everything else. I'm throwing all my guardrails away. I'm throwing away my weapons of defense. I'm making myself vulnerable. I'm bringing my whole heart to you, Lord. We can only come to this state of receptivity and respond to it only at the point of our readiness, and our readiness comes only when we have experimented with all the different forms of God that the world presents to us. The God of the religious world, the metaphysical God, the God we think we can use, the God that demonstrates things, every kind of God we try, and only when we come to the end of trying are we ready for this surrender, ready to give up seeking a great power to destroy our enemies or to shower us with gifts. We give up the desire for that kind of a God, and we rest in this word, God is. Remember how we started? Our present help is found in the name of the Lord. God is. Thy grace is my sufficiency, not power, not might. Man shall not live by outer powers or outer things, but by the word. Man must not live his life believing that he can pray to God to become the power to go out and destroy something, when if he realizes that where he comes from is the foundation of God, he's a spiritual being to which nothing can come and refute. Nothing can attack. Remember, all things were made by him, and there was not anything made that was made that he did not make. When man comes to that realization, then he realizes my present help is a help that simply flows because of what it is, and my awareness of this is my salvation. Now, when we take the next step of giving up our faith in mental means, mental powers and remedies, we come to the real God who can be experienced, but who can never be known with the mind, and who cannot be used. In essence, spirit, which we term heaven, makes its expressions seen in what is called earth, or the realm of expression. What do I mean by that statement? The picture that you see in your mind is heaven, consciousness, the firm foundation by which the substance of God works to bring about expressions. that expression in your mind is as real as what you believe that book is in front of you, the telephone in front of you, the clouds, the water, the mountains. But the clouds, the water, the mountains, the book, all those things are symbols of the real that's in your conscience. Everything is real in your consciousness. Everything in the realm of the earth is temporal. It'll fade away at some point. But that which is in your conscience will never fade away, because that's the realm of spirit. And all things have their essence or substance in spirit. Now you can see the what's the word I want? Now you can see the mistake that mankind makes, because where does he look for his harmony? He looks for investments. He looks for opportunities. He looks for ideas in the earth. He looks for partners. He looks for money. He looks for all these things. We look not within the earth to find harmony. Look not at the things which are seen, for they are temporal. For we look at the things which are not seen, for they are eternal. Where are these eternal things? They're eternal in my conscience. Lay not up for yourself treasures where moth, rust, and thieves can enter into, steal, or destroy, but lay up your treasure where? Where these things cannot get. What is the only place that you can lay these things? In your conscience. No one can get in there, and no one knows what's going on in there. So we look not within the earth to find harmony, but we recognize that we, being spirit-based, are always aware of our present help. Our present help. Those three words. Let's give it another name. Conscience. My conscience is my present help. Why? Because my conscience is the same conscience that created all of the symbols that I am now enjoying or trying to dodge in what is called the earthly scene. This is why the gospel is called good news. Wait a minute. Good news. What's another term for good news being applied to the gospel? When Jesus Christ came and says, be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Peter comes along and he says, be not upset or dismayed when you fall into divers temptations or tribulations. Rejoice, because your freedom draweth nigh. And you hear that, and you call it good news, but where do you receive it? You first receive it in your conscience, and you lay it up as a treasure in your conscience. And as you lay it up in a treasure, lay it up as a treasure in your conscience, then that is the treasure that cannot be taken from you. Moth, nor rust, nor thieves can break through, but you can give it up. You can give it up by not believing it. You can give it up by doubting. You can give it up by telling it to an unconditioned conscience who begins to throw questions and comments at you that cause you to back up and rethink. Wow. So you mean my ever-present help is always with me 24/7? And the only problems I have is how I react to something that is suggesting from the earthly realm. Did you hear that? Something is suggesting negativity from the earthly realm, and I am responding to that, and I am forsaking my Father before men. No. I cast down every imagination. Where's the imagination trying to form? It's trying to form in a holy atmosphere. And who allows it to form? Or, here we go, who cast Satan out of heaven? My present help. I'm going to make a statement right here. To be successful, this is the way it's coming to me. To be successful in living the spiritual life is that I never leave my conscience. I never leave my head. I live within my head. I allow the Father, which is my conscience, because my conscience is going to express in the earthly realm whatsoever I loose. You ever stop to think that it says, Jesus said, now I give to you the keys of the heaven, the keys of the kingdom? Yeah, that's scripture. I give to you the keys of the kingdom. I give them to you. So why aren't we using them? Because we're probably looking at them as being some kind of a heart-shaped symbol of a key that we use in the earth. And we keep looking for, saying, God, give me the key, give me the key. And he said, I gave them to you in Matthew. I gave you the key to the kingdom. Whatsoever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. What? Shall you bind it in heaven? When you see it in the earth, you bind it. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Where are you binding that? You are binding that in your conscience. So that when the symbol shows up in the earth, it's already bound in heaven, but you have had to give your whole heart over to this belief that your belief of this truth will cast that thing away. It'll fade away. So we look to that which we call Father or consciousness. That is the Father of mankind. Son, I am ever with you, and all that I have is thine. What is God? God is divine consciousness. If all that he has is mine, what has he given me? He has given me his consciousness. Now go forth, using my consciousness or being my conscience or allowing my consciousness to flow through you, go forth and take dominion over what? The earthly realm, the realm of expression. Be not afraid, I am with you always. Man's domain is heaven, not areas of the planet, not continents, not in war machines, not in medical devices. Although these things are worth their value in the kingdom that man has built, your divine consciousness has authority over all of those. Why? Because heaven is your origin. And all things of value come from heaven. They do not come from earth and go and then heaven fights them, because heaven does not fight anything. Heaven is your present help. But my consciousness must come to that understanding. I am ever connected to this realm. I cannot be disconnected. I can live as though I'm disconnected. I can doubt. I can wonder, I can hide, I can scream, I can do all of these things, but when it all comes back to ground zero, I will find that I was never disconnected. I realize that all things seen have their foundation or creation here. Nothing changes. Regardless of what I'm looking at, nothing changes. But I must come to the realization of this. I am never without. Yeah, but I feel like I am. No, I understand that because the earth has shaped you to feel that way. But where are you living? I'm living in my conscience. My conscience is all power. This man makes himself out to be God. Let's throw him over the cliff. Conscience speaks up and says, no, not today. This man stands before the greatest power in the world and says, do you not realize I have the power to set you free or to have you crucified? Conscience speaks up and says what? Thou could have no power. Why? Because it is centered in its present help. It is centered knowing that it now knows that the Father will not forsake. Why? Because he has given himself over to be totally convinced that I and the Father are one. To know that this help is ever recognizing us and has made available to us all that it is. This is where we abide. We talk it even though we don't necessarily, let me just say, we are not 100% persuaded that it's true. We talk it and talk it and talk it. Why? Because just as my family, friends, neighbors, relatives, associates, and whatnot have given me information that shaped my consciousness in the earthly realm, I am now watching over my consciousness, and I am shaping it in the image and likeness of him who made me. I talk it and talk it and talk it and sit in the quiet and sit in the silence until it speaks to me. I am with you. I do not recognize myself as being in need in a very bad situation, but as a shining light, I am ever declaring the glory of my Father. Well, what if I feel weak and what did he say? My grace is sufficient. When you are at your weakest, is my sufficiency made strong. I am here to show forth the glory of the Father. But the Father is the one that shows forth the glory. I have simply made myself available to this glory that it might pour through and declare its own glory. I am the witness of this. And there may be others who witness this in me. And as they witness this in me, they may come and ask, how are you doing that? And all I can do is point them to the Father. Because I can't write a book and tell you how to find God. I can write a book and motivate you to seek ye first the living God. But you will have to give yourself over, believing that there is an ever-present help that declares its own glory because of the servant that allowed it to happen. The Father, the conscience, the divine foundation, the substance of all form, the invisible source of all things, has declared us as his love, not declared that he loves us, he has declared us as symbols of his love. And we, his visible image, but yet full of the invisible substance that he is, we are shining lights, revealing him as our ever-present help. God bless you.